Kenya's political history. Today at the Discourse KE, we are going to look at Kenya's political history in the mirror of 2022 elections. Kenya got independence in 1963, and we are in 2021. What does all this in terms of history reflect? My guest today is Brian Ngugi, a governance expert, and he's going to talk about Kenya's political history. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on Discourse KE.
So how can we say that Kenya's political history has been palatable when it comes to political events since independence?
Well, if I compare it to other African nations, I think Kenya has done relatively well. We've enjoyed some stability, though with some ups and downs here and there. So we are on course. I think we are growing.
So you've done fairly well.
Yeah,
What can we attribute to say that you've done fairly well? What strides has Kenya made so far?
With the economy, Kenya's human resource is well respected out there. We have a nice educational system. Basically, we are stable, and I dare say that Kenya is the pride of Africa.
You mentioned of Kenya doing fairly well. Now, measuring after independence in 1963, we seem to experience the same issues: unemployment, when it comes to poverty, when it comes to disparity between the rich and the poor. How do you rank Kenya when it comes to this?
Well, I'm a declared pessimist and a skeptic of governance, because you'll never get it right when it comes to governance. At independence, we were looking to eradicate poverty, ignorance, and hunger. We're still not yet there. We're still battling these three issues amongst a host of other issues such as unemployment. And I think we are not yet out of the woods. It will take us much more effort. And it basically rests on leadership.
How much more do we need to do? Because since then, it's been more than 50 years.
There's a lot we need to do. This is a youthful platform, and I think that we won't get it right even in our generation. We're still going to have issues.
So you're saying there's no hope?
Well, I didn't say there's no hope, because it hasn't been very rosy, so to say. But we live by the day, and let's continue being hopeful.
Now, you as a governor expert, now let's talk about the comparison when it comes to the presidency. Now we look at Jomo Kenyatta, we look at Moi, we look at Mwai Kibaki, and now Uhuru Kenyatta. All these presidencies, how do you make the comparison between these presidencies?
Well, according to me,
especially when it comes to the economy,
there's not much of a difference. Everyone enjoys their circumstances that surround their administrations. Was hit is Uhuru's by COVID-19. I don't know how his scorecard will look like at the tail end of his administration. Moi's was termed to be very shaky, though it was long, and therefore it was deemed to be so, because it had its ups and downs. Kibaki's was I'd say smooth, because even the attitude by Kenyans after Moi's administration was very positive, and they were ready to work towards growing the economy and living with integrity, so to say. As for Kenyatta's, that was issues of teething problems, which we certainly overcame. And as we move on, now we are at almost 60 years of independence. So let's see what the next 40 years as we get into a century.
So you're saying you'll give a comprehensive scorecard after 40 years?
Yeah, certainly.
Why not now? Because it's still a lot of years since independence.
There's still a lot to gauge on, I'd say. We haven't grown politically, so we're still very tribal in our political discourse. The negative ethnicity is making us to lag behind. Yeah.
Okay. How about constitutionalism and democracy? We've seen Kenya taking strides when it comes to that, especially now when there was multipartyism that was declared, then it came to constitution, the 2010 constitution that was promulgated. Now, we are talking about the drums of BBI, Building Bridges Initiative. How do we link all this? Is it necessary?
Well, there are political processes which are necessary in their own light, but in the real essence, they don't carry the desires of Kenyans, so to say. We cannot change everything by casting it in law or in policy. There has to be a lot of engagement and change of mindsets.
So does that mean that BBI is a legal document?
Well, it's legal positivists look at things from the law as it is written, or rather how things are and are ascribed on paper. Whatever is cast on paper is what we should follow. That creates order, but at the same time, the social ordering of the law is not adhered to. I'll give you an example. Kenyans have banned the use of plastic bags, but you still find them they come in handy in your daily activities, right? And therefore it becomes, there's a disconnect between law and social order.
How does this mirror the 2022 elections? Because we've seen that it's drum and it's already been beat. So how does it mirror the 2022 election?
With Kenyan politics is very ethnic. It's very ethnicity is at the core of it. The issues of Wilbaronomics and dynasties versus hustlers, to me, does not hold water. At the end of the day, people will go back to their tribal cocoons. So 2022 will be as much as divisive as 2013, 2017, and we only have to be careful that we don't take our country to the dogs.
You talk about Kenyans' politics being ethnic oriented. Now, on 19th of March 2018, we woke up to a handshake. Now, the purpose of this handshake, I believe, was to bring unity to this country. Now, has it so far done its intended purpose?
Well, from face value, yeah, but at the same time, from the same face value, some people have felt disenfranchised. They feel that they are no longer in government. They feel that the handshake did not serve their interests. And therefore, at the end of the day, whichever move we make will serve someone's interests, and whoever will feel dissatisfied will always be against whatever the status quo wants.
Don't you think it has served its purpose?
Yeah. I must admit that we've enjoyed some tranquility in Nairobi, so to say.
Nairobi only, because it was not meant to serve Nairobi only.
Well, Nairobi is a thermometer of Kenyan politics. You would say it's the hub. It's a business hub for.
Nairobi has almost 4 million people. Kenya has 47 million people.
The diversity of Nairobi goes to tell you that you can, if you wanted to do a research, Nairobi is the best place to do your sampling.
Okay, now getting back to the narrative of elections. Now we've seen different narratives playing in different elections in 2002, in 2007, 2013, and also 2017. Now, this narrative is always introduced when it comes to the political history. Now, what is the essence of this narrative? And coming to, as we approach the 2022 elections in Kenya, what narrative is played?
Well, the hustler narrative will take Kenya by storm. That I can bet on.
Do you declare that the hustler narrative is the one that will triumph the day?
No, it might not, because it still hasn't passed the test of time.
What's
Probably
the test of time?
I'd give it 2 elections, so that people will now graduate from ethnic politics to now issues of social equality and even environmental justice.
2 elections, you're talking about 2022 and 2027.
Yes.
Now that's where you're saying the hustler narrative will
become well solidified.
Do you think it will be an effective narrative?
Yeah, gauging from the way social inequality is becoming ingrained in Kenya, even across the world, I think such kind of politics, as Karl Marx had prophesied, such will come to pass also in Kenya.
Do you think it brings disparity?
Well,
and indecisiveness, especially in a country.
Indecisiveness
when it comes to, because someone will assume that because you are driving a car or owning a house, you are a dynasty. Maybe you worked for this thing, and also now because you're doing something a bit casual, now you are a hustler. Now, don't you think it will bring disparity in a sense that some people will feel entitled and now they'll go and start ambushing, because we've had such cases that are really coming up.
Now, before that ideology becomes ingrained into our politics, we should strive to bridge the rich and poor. The gap should be minimized. So
how do you suggest that should be done?
Well, through governance and leadership, transformational leadership, to be specific.
Don't you think the hustler narrative will do this?
I don't think the ideology of hustlers is in any way transformative. In any case, I dare say that it is retrogressive at this point in time. But if approached in, I don't want to engage in double speak, but right now it's not yet mature. It's still in its it's still green.
Will you vouch for it yourself?
Yeah, if it's not now, probably later on, as that we see how it grows and what ideas it brings to the common man, given that the poor in Kenya are extremely poor, and just like you said, it will end up in extreme exercising of people will probably take the law into their hands, or and therefore I wouldn't advocate for it right now.
Okay. Now, as we wrap up, now we are saying about we have talked about the scorecard. How do you compare scorecard of Uhuru Kenyatta to the predecessor, Mwai Kibaki? When it comes to the economy, when it comes to the political temperatures, and also the social environment of politics, how do you compare that?
Is it only Kibaki and Uhuru?
Yes.
Well,
because Uhuru left it with an economy of 7%.
Kibaki was an interesting guy. He was very laissez-faire when it came to politics. To him, anything goes, so long as there is production. But Uhuru is trying not to ignore politics, but I think people get to his nerves very quickly, and under his leadership, things have seemed to become a bit polarized. But Kibaki performed relatively well, probably because of the environment. He had an enabling environment, especially in his first term. There was goodwill for things to happen. It is said that even in his administration there was corruption. Now Uhuru's administration is more corrupt. I want to disagree and say that corruption is corruption, no matter how you want to sugarcoat it. But yeah, corruption has been the biggest impediment in Uhuru's developmental agenda.
Okay. Now, as we wrap up, now your prediction on 2022 in terms of presidency. What's your prediction?
I'm of the opinion that we're going to get a surprise candidate, someone we did not fathom will become president. They're going to give Ruto a run for his money, because right now he seems to be the only horse who has. Because if Raila was to run right now with Ruto would beat him hands down. And I'd idea Raila to support someone, give an endorsement to someone, aseme fulani tosha.
So you think Raila's support will boost someone else to be the president, and this someone is someone X, a surprise candidate?
Yeah, that someone X, candidate X, will determine a lot. I can bet on that.
Any last thoughts on Kenya's political history in the year of 2022 elections?
Yeah, just to underscore the issue of hustlers versus dynasties. This is not the last, or rather, yes, it's not the first we're seeing of it. At independence, we had Kadu that was advocating for social equality, and now we have this hustler dynasty narrative that is also taking that trajectory of social equality. But this one will sweep Kenya, though not now, but in later years we're going to remember these ideas that Ruto is trying to propagate. They're good ideas. He's a shrewd politician, and I think his ideas are helping Kenyans to think out of the box.
You are pro-hustler, aren't you?
No, not at all. I only want to subscribe to such waves right now. I'm an intellectual, therefore I will be doing myself a lot of injustice.
Brian Ngugi, thank you so much for coming to the show.
Asante sana.
That's all the time we have.